Zach Reynolds alongside Luke Hamilton and Oilers head coach Rob Murray for this week's edition of the Virtual Coaches Show. Chilly Tuesday here at the end of April. And we'll start things off. Tomorrow's the trade deadline, and team was able to make a move yesterday, bringing in Curtis Leonard and sending Alan Wacharczyk to Fort Wayne, where he had played previously. And Leonard, obviously a very big defenseman. He's 6'3", something really impressive. He's had a couple of plus 30 seasons here in the ECHL in his career, something that hasn't been done on an Oilers team in a very long time. Bringing him in, what was the big kind of thought process, and had you had your eye on him? Maybe somebody just kind of became available and you thought this is the right move for us here?
Well, leading up to the trade deadline, you don't know necessarily. There will be names thrown out there, and so you don't know what really is available for trade until I guess you do your due diligence and make some calls. I had been in contact with Fort Wayne prior to the weekend in Wichita, and they expressed interest in Alan, and at that time they were basically looking to send me a future consideration back the other way, and I said that I needed a body back, and this is what I was looking for, and so that led to yesterday where I got on the horn with him and Ben Boudreau in Fort Wayne, and Curtis Leonard's name came up, and I did a little bit of research on him myself, and definitely as a guy, it fits a piece that we need. Like we're giving up skill with Allen in the trade. In the long run we are. Yet I think that we can match that with the way some of the guys are playing right now. But what our biggest need right now is to get bigger and stronger on the backside. You've got Mike McKee and Justin Hamonic as good as a prototype as you can get at our level for that. Then you've got, looking through our depth chart, then, Garrett Cockrell, he's big and he's strong but he brings the offensive side. I just felt that we needed more of that stay-at-home type, big competing defenseman, and I believe that Curtis is going to fit that bill and kind of solidify our back end a little bit. Is one of the things that I felt, as I said, needed to be improved on.
And this gives you a chance to really bolster one of those top pairings, certainly coming into the week. Is there maybe an intention already that you have thought about as far as a pairing with him? And is there maybe just something about his game or maybe just his size that you would like to pair up with another defenseman here as he gets rolling in an Oilers sweater?
Well, right now, he won't be in until Thursday yet. So he won't be in the lineup tomorrow night. As of right now, I foresee him playing with Garrett Cockrell and, with McKee and Hamonic, and then that pairing, Cockrell and Leonard. I think that, it's a pretty good four. And, and it's not a four that you're looking to generate 20 goals out of that grouping yet. It just makes it a little bit more harder to play against, and that's definitely what we're always looking for.
With that, he won a title in the EAHL, the top league in Britain, with Belfast. And with that, when you bring guys in, and maybe it's not a Kelly Cup and it's not here in the ECHL, but with a playoff push coming on here late and every team picking up points left and right, is a guy like that hey, has at least been in a situation going through to the playoffs, making the playoffs, and then being successful there, is that kind of a helpful aspect when you're looking at a guy, and bringing him in?
Yeah, winning's winning. I don't care what level you're at. You could be playing rec league softball in the summer. Everybody gets, you get excited to win at any level, and so there's that element of I've described to you guys that you don't know what it's like until you actually do it. You dream about it, you like it, but that year we won the Kelly Cup in Alaska. It was my first championship, and I didn't know. I did not know what it was going to be like and what that feeling was like. And so here's a guy that's had that experience, and be it in the British League or ECHL or whatever level, you're playing to win wherever you are. And so every championship is like a Stanley Cup. And so that experience that he brings, I believe, is, and like you said, we're in a playoff push right now. We're getting our points, yet it seems like everybody else is too, and there's nobody falling off the radar right now. So we have to maintain our pace to make sure that we're staying where we need to be, and have a chance to find ourselves into the playoffs.
And sort of to dig into the idea of just experiencing a championship from a coaching standpoint and being a player, of course, in the past, is there something that maybe the average fan, doesn't necessarily think about that a team really needs to have, whether it's a mental or physical aspect of their game, to properly prepare for a playoff push late in the season? And then, of course, when the postseason comes around, it's all about continuing to play your game. And, of course, the fans, they'll look at it. They'll say, hey, we've got to get the points. But is there something from a coach or a player standpoint that you think that a team has to have that maybe the average fan wouldn't necessarily think about in preparing properly for a playoff push and then the playoffs, of course?
Well, you have to have durability. I mean, it doesn't go any further than that. And lucky enough, I can look back on the year in the Kelly Cup when we got through with, we had our injuries, but we didn't have multiple guys out of the lineup, like our big shooters that were out because they separated a shoulder or dislocated something or whatever that took them out of the lineup. That to me is the key. I mean, you have to stay healthy. But the grind of not only a playoff push, yet the grind of the playoffs itself, that's when you got to man up. I mean, you got to be harder than the guy you're playing against, and you've got to be stronger, be it mentally or physically, and that in turn will bring you success. And that's something that, once we won the night in Cincinnati and we won the Kelly Cup, it was I guess the word that comes to mind is relief. Yet it was just that absolute, gave it everything you had for a month and a half in the playoffs, and you were rewarded for it. And that's what everybody strives for. And there can only be one team, and at every level. And so you want to be those guys.
Speaking of kind of mental toughness, the gutsiness, the team was able to come away with 5 out of 6 points at Wichita this week. And with that, a couple come from behinds, holding on as well. And with it, you saw that on the Sunday game. It was a game you get up quick, and then things start to get rough. They have a bunch of power plays. It seems the team maybe even had a little bit of a hard time getting into the rhythm with everything going on to even not being at even strength, but able to come away. And then obviously you have Matt Lane winning with a shorthanded goal. What was your thought of the game on Sunday?
Well, I thought that was the most fun game that we played this year. Like, for me as a coach, as a fan, I was, it was a fun game to be involved in. It just shows you what 60 minutes can bring you, and that where you battle so hard, the game swings one way or the other, and then ultimately you end up winning the game, which is always maybe it wouldn't have been as much fun if we hadn't won. Yet it was a battle. I mean, it was, I think they on the game sheet they had us at 8 power plays against. It was 9 actually.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it was 9-3. Like, I mean, we had to kill 9 penalties. Now, we gave up 2 power play goals, but that's so. I said to the guys I think it might have even been between the first and second. I said, "Here's a tip for you guys. Like, you understand, I'm rolling 4 guys, maybe 5 on the penalty kill, and we're rolling 4 defensemen. Like, what these guys will eventually have in reserve late in the game, it's getting depleted here. And we went into the game, and you have to be smarter than the average bear. Like the ref was calling all the slashing, and I think majority of the penalties that we got were all slashing penalties. And so you got to stay away from that. You got to read where what the ref's doing or what he's looking for. And he wasn't calling the punches after the plays. Like the one in the first period when Crom got knocked down, and one of their defensemen, while Cromer was on the ice, gives him a shot and basically tag teams, and the other defenseman comes over and gives him a shot, and then we end up 4-on-4. And it was just that's when I lost it on him, because I didn't understand why he was calling the ticky-tack stuff, but the stuff that was right in front of him, he wasn't. And but that, again, it's the temperature of the game. You got to know that. You got to know what that ref is going to call. Now we had Jake Jackson Friday and Saturday, and he called a whole totally different game. And there was a guy that we hadn't seen this year. Actually just came down from the American League. So, and I thought he did a great job. Riley on Sunday, he was a little bit, again, just a different style of reffing. And he took, there was a memo that came out a couple weeks ago about them cracking down on the slashing, and he definitely took it to heart. But when it was said and done, we were a dumb bunch of hockey players because we just allowed him to make those calls. And I'm not saying there weren't slashes, and that's maybe the disappointing part, is that we just kept doing it. And as much as I tried to warn the guys, they're not going to get away with this tonight, it kept coming back. Now, I use the word apropos. I think that's maybe more than one word after the game, where it was only fitting that we end up scoring a shorthanded goal to win the game. And it was a heck of a play by, plays start prior to the goal, yet we did a great job on our defending the entry on Beauregard. The puck turned over, Coxey got it, Lehner took off, and it was executed to perfection, and we were rewarded for it, and that was it was exciting. It was an exciting night, and to over the weekend, 5 out of 6 points against Wichita, that's pretty good.
I think that's what stuck out more to me than anything. I think on the weekend, especially the Saturday and the Sunday game, it wasn't necessarily the most complete game, from this group on Saturday and Sunday, but it was the timeliness of the goals in those games that, of course, were of the biggest impact. Now, you win a game 3-0 on Friday, of course, that's huge, but I think just the emphasis of the timeliness of these goals, whether it be on the comeback to force overtime and grab a point on Saturday, or the Sunday game, you get an Alex Crom who finally finds some offensive heat here as of late and getting goals, an early goal to jump that bench, and then a shorthanded goal. Fate loves irony. Of course, Matt Lane finishing it off. That's got to jump a bench more than anything. I think just sometimes with the timeliness of a goal, and especially it just felt like those are the type of goals that you need in a playoff run, in a playoff series, just how important they were in the game at that time.
Well, to your jump the bench comment, so Adam Pleshkash joined me on the bench on Sunday afternoon, and as much as I'd like to, as a coach, and join in on the celebration, I gotta kind of keep my level headed. But Plesh is standing next to me, and I swear, like the whole bench erupted, and they were all hugging each other, and he was hugging, like he was over the top hugging them, and so rightfully so. I mean, he's not a coach, he's a player, but he was, it was exciting for him too, and so you could just see that energy, and that the comment after the game was that the guys are bought in. I mean, win, lose, or draw, we are bought in. The guys are giving it everything they have to find a way, one way or another, out there to get the job done. And honestly, Luke, like a lot of the goals that have been scored just recently, I mean, Cromer's was a excellent shot from the soft area of the ice. But Lane's goal, first goal, just a shot to the net, driving the net, wide open cage. Burmaster's couple of goals over the weekend, same deal. Crom's goal on Friday, just going to the net. This is where I guess I get some as a coach. It's rewarding that my message is getting through, and we're scoring goals that way when I've been asking of that, and the guys are buying in and doing not as they're told, but seeing the benefits of what I'm preaching to then have some success with what I'm hoping that we can do.
Justin Taylor, had a multi-point game out there, and he's under 20 points, but he's got 5 multi-point games on the season so far. He seems like maybe one of those guys that just picks up a point after another one. Are there guys that kind of have maybe not that mindset, but it seems to work that way for them, where they get a little bit fired up if they can get a point, a goal, an assist early, and then they find that secondary point later on? I mean, he's amongst the team leaders in multi-point games, and everyone that's even close around him has a significant amount more points.
Well, I think that it's just natural especially if you get a point or a goal or whatever early in the game. There's no two ways about it. You feel good about yourself, and I think that that's kind of where Tails is. Like he feeds on his success early or within a game, and it gives you a little bit more jump. And I think that Justin Taylor, he has given everything he's got every night, and I appreciate that of him. And so, like, you look at a guy like Cromer, like we're talking about it in the pregame interview, possibly it was Friday, I'm not even sure, but 42 games or 41 games at that point, no goals. Well, now he's got 2 over the weekend. So, and we've talked about it also where Alex Crom, I don't care if he scores a goal all year. What he brings to the intangibles is what, you'd love to have 10 Alex Croms in the room. And so he brings a different skill set, a different level of play. But also for me, it's nice to see him get rewarded with a couple of goals because he's been snake bit. It's not like he hasn't had chances. He just that's, again, it's a skill set. So he was the guys were talking after practice here, and so they said somehow they found out that I'm playing men's league tonight, and so the guy's like, "Oh, can we come watch?" And I said, if one of you guys shows up to watch, then you count on getting cut tomorrow. And then but then I yelled out at the office and said, "Cromer, you can come because I'll show you how to score."
Yeah.
So there's a good balance between having fun and concentrating on the game and being ready and we've used the terminology as workmanship or like a workman-like attitude. You go to work, get your job done, do your job as best as to your ability, and find a way to win games.
I think that's it's sort of a good point about Alex Crom as far as bringing intangibles to the game, without scoring goals, because I think that's also something you can apply to a Charlie Sampere in your lineup, because of course he can score goals and he does it well, and he can find the open man really well. But I think some of the other things that he does super well is on the penalty kill, of course, because he's got that speed and that puck pursuit ability. He makes a massive impact. I can't even count. I think this weekend I would have to go back and just look at the film on how many 2-on-1 opportunities the Oilers maybe got just shorthanded because of Sampere. Yeah. It seems to be evident every night with him in that regard. So if the law of averages sort of kind of works out, there's no specific logic to it. You feel like you're banking on some goals here from Sampere too upcoming, which, just to see him not necessarily score right out of the gate coming back from San Diego, but what he's done on the penalty kill and in his puck pursuit has really made a big impact. So I think that balance is working out in Sampere's favor, and he's going to score soon.
Well, he's a menace to other teams, is what he is. I mean, you can't match his speed, and it's evident every night. And somebody was saying to me the other day, like, I'm surprised that he doesn't get more breakaways. Never mind 2-on-1s, just flat out breakaways. And he gets a share. We've seen it. Like he gets a share of breakaways. Yet, what Charlie brings, it just you can't replace. I mean, you cannot replace what Charlie Samper brings. You can't replace what Danny Moynihan brings. You can't replace what Adam Pleshkash brings. But in saying that, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. And Charlie, I mean, more and more, he is by far the fastest guy in the league, and he's using it to his advantage. I mean, we can talk about how many times he cut wide this weekend and was in all alone also. Like, it's not just a 2-on-1 or a breakaway. It's his ability to turn a 3-on-2 into a grade A chance at the net, because he has beaten the defenseman wide. And his ability to use his speed and his quickness then translates into being a very good penalty killer. And he's done a great job for us. And Charlie's a guy, I don't know, we don't have I guess we do have the stats somewhere, but like, he blocks shots like crazy on the penalty kill. I mean, he competes. He's willing to sacrifice his body. So brings a lot of good things to the game that again, you can't replace what a Charlie Samper.
We also saw McNicholas picking up his first multi-point game as an Oiler, and had him now for a couple of weeks. And what's kind of your feel on him as a player so far since acquiring him, and how he's been doing when he's out there?
I like Michael. He's he's a detailed player. He's got very good puck skill in tight. He makes little plays that your average guy doesn't. And he hasn't scored for us yet. He's had some really good chances. So I'm very pleased with him. He's a great addition to our lineup.
And Michael McNicholas, I think immediately sort of his impact, and you can speak to this, I think just the vision of the game, it makes a big impact for guys moving to the next level. There's something about that is teachable but not teachable. Just having the initial vision to recognize who's on the ice and where they're supposed to be. I think on the power play in particular, that's why you could call him a power play specialist, because he has that vision in particular when he's in the offensive zone. We saw, plenty of looks, cross ice. I think he's been that guy that has been able to move the power play east to west a little bit more often than just north south along the boards. And you think that's something that is certainly a big eye opener for scouts at any level, just the vision of the game, whether it be in transition or on the power play.
Well, it's what we refer to as hockey IQ. I mean, you've got to have that. And some players have all the talent in the world, but they never make it because their hockey IQ is poor. And, you could be book smart, you could be street savvy, whatever. But if you are not hockey IQ smart, then chances are you're not going to find your way to where you want to be. And, Michael McNicholas, you mentioned his looks on the ice. He sees plays before they're Gretzky was like this. Like they talked about it. He could almost see a play before he made it. And that's how you have to be. You have to anticipate. Now, I think that the guys that are on the ice, as they get more familiar with Michael, now they'll be expecting maybe a pass that they weren't expecting before. That's where it's the trickle down is. Now his teammates have to realize, okay, he's got the puck. I better be ready. Like, this might be coming to me. Whereas maybe another player doesn't have that in his tool set that Michael brings. So it's definitely, I can tell you right now that on a scouting sheet at the NHL level, they'll rate skating, compete, whatever the different categories are. And hockey IQ is definitely one of the highest things that they're looking for. And they just love, who doesn't love a guy that thinks the game very well? Yet it's something that might make a guy slip in the draft, or maybe jump in the draft because of it. And that's something that you can't teach a lot of times. I think you can make a hockey IQ better, but the guys that are at the elite levels definitely have that for the way that those guys are. I mean, there's a reason why they're at the NHL level, American League level. I mean, there's that little intangible of hockey IQ that is just that smidge better than the rest of the guys.
Talk about things that can't be taught. Probably something like Adam Pleskach's work ethic. A lot of guys have great work ethic, but I mean, we just see it from other broadcasters that come to town. Everybody, when they see Adam Pleskach play, the first, fourth, fifth, 10th time, doesn't matter. They always talk about how strong he is in pursuit and just how he never, ever gives up on a play. There's no such thing as really a 50-50 with him, right? Because he's going to come out with it most of the time. But, being without him this weekend, you kind of have a timetable this past weekend of him potentially returning. And what was it like having him on the bench, as you had mentioned earlier?
It was great having him on the bench. I kind of had to convince him to come on the bench, but you're right. Like it's end of the day, what do you get remembered for, right? Like you want to stand out one way or another. And Adam Pleskach, like you said, I mean, if he's getting noticed by other broadcasters that share that with you, obviously he's making an impression. And that's what you want to do. You want to make an impression on people in general, but also other, the guys you're playing against. As far as Adam goes, as of right now, I'm waiting to hear back from the doctors to see what we're looking at. So I don't necessarily have an answer for you on that one. He did not skate today, and whether that, I mean, it's precautionary more than anything. Yet we need to get the results. He had some tests done yesterday, and we're waiting on those results to come in.
And a very impressionable player is Danny Moynihan. And of course, over the past weekend, the announcement of his retirement just due to medical reasons, and just to sort of speak upon just being a professional athlete and how to properly make an impact on not just the community, not just your teammates, but the game itself. I think Danny Moynihan is a guy that can certainly be exemplary of that. 169 career professional points, obviously an impact player on the ice that can sort of be looked up to, not by only teammates in his play, but just his character on and off of the ice. And I think that is a big thing, of course, that Tulsa is going to miss, no doubt. And just your thoughts on having the opportunity to be there as a part of Danny's career all the way back from Alaska here into Tulsa.
Danny to me is, we're going to obviously miss him quite a bit. Everyone in this room, our heart breaks for him because this is his dream. This is what he wants to do. He's only 25 years old. I mean, he had a long career ahead of him, and it was unfortunate that now he's been, the issue with what he has been well known, and it was basically spelled out to him that he'd be okay to play. He had another test done that said different, and there's a concern. It's a life and death concern, quite honestly, that this is what has caused him to retire. So this is bigger than hockey. I mean, this is your life, and we all respect Danny's decision. Again, our heart breaks for him. Danny is a wonderful young man. And that's something that I can see in him, and outside of the game of hockey, he's gonna. I have no doubt whatever he decides to do, he'll have success. Yet he's a big loss for this team, and I think that maybe in a little one way or the other, we built off that emotion this past weekend. It's kind of like we know what he's going through, and we played hard for him.
And what I was about to go into with that, I mean, can you kind of turn into a mantra almost? Obviously, he did so much to get the team where it's at right now. Without him playing this season, it would have been difficult to maybe still be in a playoff spot, as he was the leading goal scorer, had the most game-winning goals going into this weekend. And with that, team obviously wanting to fight for him and kind of still get him a Kelly Cup, because obviously he was a big part of the team, even getting this far into the season and still being in the picture. It's something that you can kind of build off. And do you think that's something that a lot of guys think about, day in, kind of day out with the games and, practice, and just not having him there, and obviously missing him a large amount?
Well, unfortunately, it's out of sight, out of mind a little bit, and I'm not disparaging Danny Moynihan, but you got to move on. It is what it is, and you can't dwell on it. You can't say, oh well, if we had Danny here, this would have been different. Well, we don't have him here anymore, so we got to move on as a team and individuals, and I know that for sure the guys have been reaching out to him and sending their best wishes to him, but it's now to a point. Obviously, we're not sitting here lamenting about the fact that he has retired. That's come and gone. We've dealt with it, and we move on, as a team, and get the job done, whether it be for him or personal reasons, or you just kind of, life goes on, and his life will go on, just in a different direction.
And looking ahead, and moving in that vein, we got Rapid City here this week, and it wasn't that long ago that this team got an opportunity to take them on at the VOK Center. Peter Quenville was a big part, of course, of their success. And is there anything here this time around that you'd like to see as far as an adjustment to maybe get that second point here, more often here as we approach another 3-3 and a big opportunity at the VOK Center this week?
Well, it's all about awareness of who you play out there against, and obviously Quenville had a great weekend against us last weekend, and there's got to be an onus on shutting him down. Now, we've talked about it in the past also, where other teams target our top guys, and that's not anything new in the game of hockey. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so there's a guy that we have to have awareness of when he's on the ice, try to get our matchups. Being at home, we'll do our, obviously it's a lot easier, but there's a guy that, he found a way to score goals different ways. He scored one there on, I believe, Saturday night, where our, power play, or their power play, had just expired. He got the goal in overtime. He got one off the face-off. He scores in multiple different ways, and he's not necessarily that guy. You got to no, I shouldn't say that. You do have to have awareness and be concerned about him on the power play. Yet he contributes within the 5-on-5 and obviously the overtime goal. So he brings every element to the game, and he's now, as we see with different players, he wasn't nearly as obvious, early in the season that that threat was there, but now he is playing as well as we saw him in the past years, and contributing and making that, basically helping them have the success they have.
You got a game tomorrow against Rapid City, just about 24 hours from now. A little bit less is when the trade deadline ends. In the ECHL, do you see really any serious last-second deals going on where, you're really just trying to push it through at the last second, almost kind of fretting on whether or not you're going to get through to the league in time? And I know obviously salary cap's a big portion of the trade deadline. I mean, you now have some more salary cap than you did before. Do you think that that can play a bit of an advantage if the right thing came along, if maybe some teams were looking to add a bit more depth to their team and needed to maybe sling out to a player that was making a bit more?
Well, if you guys had let me off this call, maybe I could figure that out. But yeah, I mean, it's deadlines. I don't foresee making a move, but I can't tell you for sure. Like you said, if something comes along that I can't pass up, but it's got to be the right fit. And the trade we made yesterday, I feel very comfortable with. I don't have any regrets. There's no buyer's remorse right now. that being said, it is a situation where you're looking at a potential where we don't know about Adam Pleshkash. We know for sure Danny Moynihan's not here anymore. If given the opportunity to try to find those pieces to fill those voids a little bit, maybe I might have to, again, I'm open to any suggestions, yet I don't foresee making any more moves. So tomorrow, I don't know, noon Eastern or whenever it is, and I have been in that scenario that you kind of laid out, Zach, where you're afraid that you've missed the deadline. Like you're on the phone and then you can't get in touch with the league because they're so busy with other teams doing trades. And so obviously it's better off to get it done earlier than later. But you never know. I mean, guys are going to be working the phones basically from now till then.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this. Then we'll let you have the phone ready just in case anybody gives you a call, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow for the pregame.
Thanks a lot, guys.